Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and today I am so excited about our guest that's going to be on the podcast with me today. She is incredible. We're going to be talking about all things burnout, how to avoid it, how to just like live your best life. And so I have Dr. Lauryn Brunclik. She's an entrepreneur, chiropractor, business coach, podcast host, wife, mother, and sought-after speaker known for her high energy. You guys know that this is why I like her. I mean, we're birds of the same feather, straightforward attitude, and ability to make people laugh while discovering their truth. In 2010, she founded Blue Hills Chiropractic, building it into a thriving 7-figure practice. But after years of relentless hustle, she found herself overworked, tied to her clinic, and craving more freedom. Dentist, can you relate? Now you see why I brought her on here. Now you can see why I want her here. She truly is very similar to all of you out there. She was determined to create a business that worked for her, not the other way around. Lauryn built multiple revenue streams, streamlined her operations, and reclaimed her time without sacrificing income. She took that passion and launched She Slays the Day, a podcast helping professionals and clinic owners break free from burnout by creating multiple revenue streams, reclaiming time, and building financial and lifestyle freedom. So welcome to the show, Lauryn. How are you today?
Thank you. As you were reading that, is so funny because like in this world of virtual assistants and AI, I'm always like, what bio is she reading? And I'm like kind of holding my breath like, oh, and I'm like, okay, yep, that's true. That's true. Oh, this is good. I did really get sad and burnt out. It's like I just went on a journey with you while you were reading my bio.
You and me both. I was on a podcast the other day and I had the exact same feeling because they were reading my bio and I was like, I'm super curious. Like, which bio did you get? And wow, yeah, like I did just get to go down memory lane. So, but
you're like, that's a good bio. Good job, AI. Good job. But just like always waiting for like the wrong thing where it's like, no, I didn't do a stint as a clown or anything. No, that's not true. That's not true. So.
Exactly. No. And Shelby got us connected and I was super excited. And, I was looking up on it and she's like, Kiera, I think you and Lauryn are going to have the best time on the podcast. She's like, you two are birds of the same feather, the high energy, the tactical, we talk about it's like life on purpose and business on purpose and not having it to where it's the other way around. I say all the time, like your business should be working for you, not the other way around. It should be supporting your life. So I'm just super jazzed. So Lauryn, I mean, that was a great bio. I agree. Like kudos to AI, virtual assistant, whomever wrote it for you.
Right.
Kudos to you for living that actual bio and being the human on the other side of that. So anything else you want to add? I mean, we're here today to chat shop. We're here to share with your audience, our audience, and just really collaborate together and talk about some things that you're super passionate about and that I am too.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things is that, you kind of addressed of like, I think you probably typically have more dentists on type of thing. And your audience is like, wait, what's happening? So I started as a coach for chiropractors. This is, I see this a lot of what we do as especially high achieving people. We spent a lot of money and time getting this degree. And then when we start to get bored, burnt out, ADHD, whatever it is in our career where there's this kind of a couple years in and you're like, wait, is this on repeat? What we tend to do is we repurpose our current knowledge set. And so it's like, I have this degree in this, so I'm going to start a podcast for those people, right? And so that was kind of my experience too. She Slays the Day started as a podcast for chiropractors. But then I started to realize, like, as we were having these conversations and, you're just networking, you're meeting, and I started to talk to dentists and veterinarians and, and realizing like, oh, you guys deal with the same shit we do. I had an ENT on a private practice ENT on the podcast, on my podcast, because I was following him on Instagram because he was hilarious. But I was like, you're dealing with the same stuff we do. And ultimately, that's kind of where I expanded in 2023 to be more for healthcare providers outside like the traditional hospital system, because it's like none of us learned business. Like exactly. While we were doing anatomy and like infectious disease and all of this stuff, there were people outside in the college getting like MBAs and entire business degrees. And we didn't take a single class. And there's such this atmosphere of shameful entrepreneurship. What I mean by that is like, especially within chiropractic, and I've talked to vets and dentists as well, that's like, well, if you're not going to own your own clinic, are you even like really that good? And so there's this forced entrepreneurship in a society where only 10% of people truly have the grit and resilience for the shit show that is entrepreneurship.
Right.
But you have like 80 to 90% of a profession going into it. And
Right.
so it's just so natural that it's like, we didn't learn this stuff. It's so natural that burnout is such a common thing. So that's where really it's like, I've realized that like, oh yeah, I promise you that the same stuff we're dealing with, you're dealing with too, because I've had these conversations.
Amen. And it's actually funny, and I didn't mention this prior, but we actually consulted a chiropractic office, and we've consulted eye clinics and optometrists, and we've gone into CPA clinic firms. And I realized business is business is business, and healthcare business is very similar. I think we do outside of mainstream medicine, which is our chiropractic, our vets, our dentists. We're not in the hospital setting. We have more of that autonomy to have our own practices and our own businesses. And I agree with you. It is I think the memes out there with business ownership are so accurate. The ones where you're on a roller coaster and they're like, it's the highs and the lows. The ones where you're like holding on for dear life and you're like giggling and then crying all within a matter of seconds. And I'm like, that is the role, that is the realm. And so that's why I really wanted us to collaborate together, Lauryn, to talk about, because what you see in chiropractic, what I see in dentistry, what we see across the board of these incredible clinicians. Like you go to school, you learn, you have all this experience and this knowledge. And like you said, it does not train you to be a business owner. And yet also, like you said, it's, well, why not? Like, and I think that is kind of it's like for team members, like you want to graduate to be the office manager, you want to be the regional manager, you want to get to that level. Like that's where you like it, there's a ladder ascension. And I think in business ownership and with, like you wanted to be a chiropractor because you wanted to help people. You wanted to be a dentist because you want to help people. You want to be a vet because you want to help people. You want to be an ENT because you want to help people. But I think that there's this unsaid natural ladder that people feel there's a push to go for of business ownership when it's like, but I just want to be a clinician. I just wanted to do my craft, but I also wanted to do it my way. And that's where I think the business ownership vibe comes in. But you're right. It's stressful not having profits, not having understanding cash flow, not understanding how to run teams.
The number of people
Awful.
like clinic owners that have been in practice for 10 plus years that I am teaching what profit margins are.
Yes.
And what is healthy and how to calculate it is astounding. It's like,
Yes.
no. So, I think that ultimately when the different personality types, when they find themselves in practice, I feel like they almost burn out for two completely different reasons. So let's say that you have, so 80% of humans are just more meant to be more like caregivers, supporter roles. I would guess that that's even higher in someone who's called into healthcare, right? That like they went into this, believe me, if you are about to decide what you should do with your life and you are like, I'm an entrepreneur and I want to be rich, do not go into chiropractic, do not go into dentistry. There is so much easier ways to make money. So like 99 point whatever percent of people are called to this profession in healthcare because they want to serve. So let's say you start your clinic, there's a good chance you're going to burn out from one of two reasons. One, you don't want to run a clinic. You truly are, and that's what's burning you out, is that you're just like, I am here for the patients. I want to pour into the patients and I want to serve and I want to do that. But like, I have to hire another front desk person. Didn't we just do that last year? I don't know what the ad should say. I don't know what we should pay them. Or like there's office drama and you're like, I have to create a SOP on that. What? And so that will burn you out because so much of being the CEO and the clinic owner is like pulling you away from patient care. So, you either have to divide your patient care down or in half. So you have time and now you're spending half of your time not doing what you want to do, or you just pile on the admin stuff on top of it. So you're working 60 hours a week. So that person, obviously they burn out. Now, the other one is, I think is much more my personal story. And I'm so curious as to like why you started the podcast, why you started doing what you're doing. But like, so I was not someone that like was a natural entrepreneur. Like I never would have, there's certain people, you hear these stories where they're like, I'm kindergarten, I was like, I'm like, no, that wasn't me. Like had no idea until really after I started my practice, but that was out of convenience because there was no job. Like I had kids, and like somewhere along the line, the entrepreneurship bug just got me. And then all of a sudden, that's what I wanted to be doing. Like I wanted to be scaling, looking at marketing strategy, looking at like growth projections, creating higher, like I wanted to do that. But then like Barb needs me in a room too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like I like serving. Yes, yes, yes. But like this is what was exciting to me. And so then, and this is where I'll kind of like be vulnerable and share my story, because I know from stage that this helps people. People see this, but it's embarrassing to admit, but the patient care became boring. The patient care became repetitive. Like in the beginning, you're like, oh, how do I fix this? And like, you're not getting results. How do I do this? Like, and it was this problem, like new problems to solve. But once you've been doing it 5, 7 years, I think for everybody it's different, like you're kind of like, I can do that on autopilot. And it wasn't challenging a part of my brain that wanted to solve new problems. And so there was a lot of shame and guilt that came with like, because at this point, I've been in practice 7 years. Like I'm in my early 30s. Like, okay, well, you're doing this for the next 30 years. And I was like, I can't do this for the next 30 years. And so that's just like, whichever side a clinic owner sees themselves in, like, you're not safe on either. You have to figure out burnout on either side, but they're completely different reasonings. And I think understanding why are you feeling that burnout is really important.
Yeah. I love that you talked about both sides of the coin, because I think there's guilt, at least from what I see, working with dentists, working at myself. They actually call it, like, I've heard, I don't know like where this is coined, but it's like the 7-year itch or stitch. Like there's like, you just kind of get into this, and some people get it at 5 years, some people get it at 10 years. But there is, I also love Tony Robbins when he says like progress equals happiness. And so if we're not progressing, and some people love it, they love the autopilot of patient care is easy for me. But like when you first get out of school, all of that is hard. It's a puzzle. You're progressing. You've got to figure out, how do you navigate and get patients to say yes to treatment? How do I run my books? Like like there's so much how to, how do I like serve my patients better? How do I make this for dentists? It's like, how do I make that perfect crown margin? Like, how do I get that perfect? I imagine in chiropractor, I mean, I see a chiropractor all the time. I love her. She's incredible. We do talk business often. She's a fee for service. And I'm like, let's talk shop on like going fee for service versus in network. Like, just like dentists, right? The fee for service versus in network. And it's, how can I make this body, like looking at people that have weird symptoms and trying to figure out, how can I fix that? Like, I know there's a way to fix this long term. But also the like annoyance of running a business, and also the like need for growth. And I really love, and I never thought about those two sides of the coin until you mentioned that, of that really is what causes people to stress. And I think that there is guilt on both sides. I think there's guilt of, I want to be with patient care and I don't want to run the business, but I know I have to. Like, this is kind of the card I signed up for. And then the other side of, I want to leave the chair. I had a dentist the other day in one of our masterminds say to me, I only want to work 2 or 3 days, but I feel guilty because my team's working 5 days. And I was like,
that's a really common one.
So, and I said, the great news is you built the business, like you provided them the job, like you've created that. That does not mean you need to stay in the day-to-day 5 days a week, like whatever is best for you as the business owner and creator. And that can shift and morph. But there is a lot of guilt. And I think that creates, like you said, a lot of shaming. And thanks for being vulnerable on that, because I think so many people can relate to that. And I think when people are listening, they're like, yes, like, I feel either side of that. And I think people don't know how to get out of it. So instead, it's just this like, let me keep doing the same. Oh, let me listen to other podcasts. Let me see if other people are like me. And I'm sure it's the same in chiropractic dentistry. They say that it's like this isolated island. And I'm so grateful for podcasts. I'm grateful for communities. But I still think people feel that way, because you're day in, day out in your own clinic, in your own practice by yourself, even though you maybe know there's a few other islands out there that are maybe similar to you. But I think it's I think that's also business too. I don't think it's just being a provider in your own practice. I think business entrepreneurs feel this way as well. Like, how can everybody else figure this out? And I don't feel like I can.
And you have no idea that they haven't figured it out. I was in a 7-figure female mastermind a month ago. And so it's all 7-figure females all over the board as far as like industry, striving to get to 8 figures. And like there were so many moments at this retreat that every single person just felt like their business was duct taped together. And it's just like everybody's just doing their absolute damn best. And so it is really, but you know, I wonder how much of this burnout conversation has to do with like generational differences.
Agreed.
You know, like I'm assuming that you are a millennial.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I like the emojis. I'm here for it. All the millennial vibes. Like I'm here for all of them. I feel like
we really are the best. We really are. Don't tell everybody else, but we are the best generation. And so I'll point this out on stage a lot because, you know, when you're talking, giving continuing ed, you'll have a lot of, you know, Gen X is still in the workforce. Like they are still here. And from the time I was in school up until like the last couple of years, they really were a lot of the stage presence at conferences. And so you being a millennial would sit and really just get advice, business success, career advice through the lens of Gen X. And why that's something that we just have to be aware of is like each generation has a very different script that they have downloaded, like they've just absorbed kind of automatically without putting too much thought into, you know, it's just like the culture of their generation. And Gen X was like, shut up, don't complain about it. There is work-life balance. Like your career is the most important thing. Like raising your kids, like you have a spouse for that and you will enjoy your life once you have accumulated enough money. And if you've done it right, that'll happen by your like between 60 and 65. But the goal is to hustle, accumulate at all costs. You can enjoy your life. If you need if you need to get a divorce and you just get a new spouse in your 60s, that's what like, and so like not trying to give them shit or anything. Their work ethic is phenomenal. My favorite employees are Gen X.
Like, perfect. Come on in. You're going to work forever. Like it's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So they're great. But then like we come in and, you know, I know that in chiropractic now, 50% of graduates are females. Do you know what that is in dentistry?
Dentistry is actually tipped over. There's more females that are graduating than there are men. It just recently tipped the scale, which I was quite impressed by, which is awesome. So it's
so
exciting.
Cool. But we're kind of screwed because we as millennials, we're not going to not have children. We're not going to delegate that completely to somebody else. Like, I mean, I'm definitely the primary breadwinner and my husband's profession or career has like molded to what our family needs are. Sure. But like, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Like, we're not going to give up our career. And so it's not like we're complaining about work-life balance. It's just a necessity. We're like, no. It's not like I'm like, oh, like it's like, no, this isn't, I want to raise my child. It's, I have a child. I have to raise them also and the business. And so like, we're trying to figure out like, well, I can't follow that script that we saw from stage for so long is just like, that's not going to work for me. So we're trying, that's why everything feels duct taped together is because we actively reject it. We were given a script to follow, like work 6 days a week, just do it. And we're like, nah, I don't want that. And it's like, okay, well then we're literally creating a new path. And so to any millennial, I would say like, if it just feels messy, this probably isn't a you thing. This is like, we are truly carving a brand new way to do things, which we're kind of wasting our time because Gen Z is coming in like, no, I'm not doing that either. And we're like, we're fixing this for you. And
They're like,
they're
no, 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 no,
like
no. We see
2
that. We're not
months
doing that
into
either.
yeah, they're like 2 months into their profession and like, ooh, 30 hours a week? Ugh,
Yeah,
that's not
not
gonna
happening.
work for me.
No, they're like, I could be a YouTube, like I could
Yeah,
do all these different things. I can be an influencer for like 5 hours a week and make way more than you are.
yeah. And
Not
you're
here for
like,
that.
"Well, I don't know how to solve this for you."
They're like,
So
AI? Why are you guys like still doing stuff yourselves? Like, no, we're gonna have robots that do all this stuff for us. Like, absolutely
they
not.
probably
It's
will.
incredible.
Like,
Like, good.
damn it.
But I don't disagree with you. I think it's and as you said that, I thought about how agreed. And I think every generation actually makes it better from the last. And
Yeah.
I do agree that I don't know. I started thinking about it. It struck me about probably, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like people used to get married because they needed to be married. Like you used to have like a husband and a wife to be able to have kids. And I'm like, you don't need that anymore. There's IVF. There's different things that you can do. You do not need anybody anymore to live the life you want to live. It's very much becoming this like self ability. But I'm like, our parents couldn't do that. I mean, women even coming to the forefront to be able to have businesses, to own land in our name. Like that has not been a long change and
No.
shift for women to be here. And then I also think that there's a whole dynamic for women as well coming into the scene, like you said, of they are coming in there. We're having stronger professions. We are being stronger business owners. We're like the kid having children is being delayed much longer in life. And so I do think it's a walking through and not understanding like where are we even supposed to go, because what we've seen as the model isn't the model for us anymore. Like that doesn't work. Our lives
Mhm.
look different. I mean, my mom, she didn't work. A lot of my friends' moms didn't work, or if they did, they worked at the schools, or they didn't work like high level powered careers, a lot of them. And I'm so excited that women are coming into the workforce, and because there's so much talent and beauty. But I do think that there's a whole dynamic, and for men too. I think that the whole shifting, like you said,
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of women are
They
becoming
want to
breadwinners.
be dads.
They
Like, that's
do.
the thing too, is like, they're like, "Hey, I just because 'cause I'm a dude doesn't mean like I'm okay with missing my kid's childhood." Right? It truly
Exactly.
is a generational shift.
Exactly. And so I think I just through all of it, I think you're highlighting what makes me excited. And the reason I'm just like jazzed about this today is it's normal, it's okay, and there's solutions around it. And also, I think just aha moments of, oh my gosh, like maybe this is why. And I do agree, generations behind the millennials, you're probably giggling at our conversation right here of like, yeah, 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 you guys don't even know what you're talking about. But I think like we're in
Hey,
it.
we say you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm like, but we're
Hey,
in it. And there has to be a solution
I have
here.
the microphone.
Who's on this podcast and who's listening? All right. But I think when I look at that, I'm like, but for millennials, I think that they're, and most generations probably feel this, I think we're a taffy stretch between one way of thinking and a new way of thinking. And we're kind of that like middle child syndrome right now, where we really are
Mm.
trying to carve that new path that's making it easier for other generations behind us to see easier modalities. But I do think that that kind of tug of war, I mean, I feel it. You felt it. We've had our personal experiences through it. We see people, we coach people through this, we work with people. But I also think in a way, life has become easier too, Lauren. I don't know how you feel. And like easier with air quotes, meaning there's so many things that do things for us. Like washer and dryers were so great for our parents' generations. But I'm like, for us, we now have, like you said at the beginning, we have AI that's writing bios for us. We've got virtual assistants that are doing it. There's ways, like you said, there's easier ways to make money outside of just doing your day in, day out, 8 to 5 job now. There's different ways that we can build retirement. There's ways like the Airbnb market and having real estate investments. Like there's so many different ways that I feel like wealth is oftentimes easier to achieve. But I think with that, because there's so many things, and not to say that it's perfectly easy, but I think as we conquer in life, just like the washer and dryer, the cell phone, like those things were conquering big problems. Google coming in and the internet taking over, like those conquered a lot of challenges. I think so much of today's challenge, and I don't know how you feel, Lauren, this is like Kiera going off on her own soapbox. I feel like you said so much of it now is our mind, and like that space of centeredness, of balance, of not having to work all the time. I think a lot of jobs have shifted from labor jobs to mental labor jobs.
Mm.
So we're not having as much physical. Like you said, patient care can be a lot of just like mindless. I miss the days sometimes of being a dental assistant, sitting there and having like hours of time to dream up all these ideas, to where now I feel like I wish and crave for that quietness that my mind never gets anymore. And so I feel like even with some of those shifts in how we work and how our family needs are and the necessities of family dynamics in we don't need to work clear up to 65. Like people are able to retire now at 35, 40. And then it's like, now what? What am I supposed to do? So also then finding your purpose in life. I think you combine all of that into a cluster storm and voila, welcome to millennial dilemma. Like, we can coin that of what do people do? How do they exist? And I think the future generations coming will have even more of this at more grand scale. So it's like, let's have conversations of how do we prevent that burnout? How do we have the conversations about not working and like having nothing left to give to our families, of having that balance, like you said, of I want to run the business and I want to progress, but I also want to be a human at the same time. So Lauryn, I think you're more the expert at this than I am. I'm just here for the like great conversations and talking it through because I think it's such a necessary conversation that now is starting to really bubble to the surface out of necessity and also out of curiosity and also out of like desire to fix this and not have it be our day in, day out norm anymore.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to say another kind of controversial thing then.
Ready. I love this.
So you touched on it, and like with any time, we don't love, as care providers, we don't want to come across as greedy, right? And so what we end up doing is like, we'll just be like, it would be great to be wealthy, but like not too much. Like I don't need to be rich, like, and you didn't do this or anything like this, but like other people is just like, yeah, I would like to make a little more money. And so part of my story, I'll give you the very short version, was we had our most successful revenue year ever. And it was with like the least amount of money I had taken home in like 7 years.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. We call this payroll bloat. You need to fix your pricing structure. So we could talk about pricing increases. And so like, I'm a cash clinic. So like, this was my own fault. I set my prices and I just did a bad job at it. And so part of like, when people are like, well, how did you, like, were you burnt out? And I was like, yeah, I was burnt out at like 32. And you're like, are you burnt out? And I'm like, no, I freaking love what I do now. I still serve patients 10 hours a week. Oh, actually, as of last week, it went down to like 7. Cut a shift. Yay. So I still serve patients like 7 hours a week. I still spend probably like 3 hours a week running meetings and like running the clinic. But now we have other investments. Whereas that clinic portion that used to be, all of our eggs were in that basket, right? So like as we had kids, my husband left corporate consulting to help our family and clinic grow. So all of our eggs were in this one basket of whether the clinic does well that quarter or not. Oh, we want to remodel the kitchen? Better go get some more new patients. Like, we want to go to Disney? It's not in the budget, but like all of these things. And we're not even talking about time freedom. Like, we're just talking about like the key to burnout is having time freedom and financial freedom. When I'm working with docs, the ones that are like the hardest to fix are not the ones that are like, I'm working 60 hours a week. I have like oodles of money that I know should be like, I should be doing something with but it's just like $50,000 in this bank account. And like, I wish I had time to go to Disney, but I don't. I don't want to belittle that. That is a whole different kind of burnout.
It is.
And everybody right now is playing a little sad song for you, but I relate to you. We can fix this. But the harder one are the ones that are broke. Like, I agree. Being broke. And this has to do with like just core psychological, like I reference Maslow's hierarchy of needs a lot in my talks, because like you cannot get to the tip. Maslow's, for those of us that took Psych 101 10 years ago, is the triangle where at the top is enlightenment and at the bottom is like your base survival, food, water, shelter. And if you are broke, now granted, monks, I'm sure they can figure out how to have enlightenment without having food, water, shelter. Most of us cannot, okay? We are doctors. And there is a certain amount of debt and a certain amount of expectation is maybe the right, I don't know if that's the right word, with like, I'm going to serve people and this career is going to take care of me. I'm going to go into debt, and it's a lot of debt, but this career is going to take care of me. I'm going to care for people. As long as I focus on serving, the career will take care of me. And we have too many people that it's just not. And they're like, I did not realize that I was going to struggle this much financially. These are not people that are like, I can't afford a yacht. These are people like truly who are like, my margins for financial investing and building wealth are a lot more narrow than I thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a harder thing to fix. But that is a deeper kind of burnout that we just need to be more comfortable. Again, following generational stuff, Gen X, like we don't talk about money, right? That was the script that we got from them of like,
Totally.
you just focus on the patients and the patients will take care of you. And you're like, oh, okay, so we don't talk about money. And then millennials are like, I think we need to start talking about money. I think we need to start talking about money because if you were being paid whatever you feel is appropriate, if you were feeling wealthy, and again, I'm not talking about that, I'm not putting on you that like you feel like you need to be making $3 million a year, like, although that is my goal for next year is 3 million. So just, but like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, that, just so we're clear, that is my literal goal for next year. So you can want that. You have permission to want that if you want, but we're talking about like, I don't know, maybe if you made $500,000 a year, life would be a little easier and you could breathe. And if you can literally financially breathe, you have more bandwidth to make calm decisions for your business, where you don't feel like if you have a bad quarter, you're going to have to lay someone off. And like, that's one of the first steps to helping most people avoid burnout or recover from burnout is like, we got to talk about money and we got to fix your personal financial situation. Because if you're constantly in a place of fight or flight financially, you can give yourself an extra 10 hours a week and time to be the CEO. If all you're doing is worrying about how you're going to make payroll, like you're not going to recover from burnout.
Mm-hmm. I think that that was such a good way that you highlighted it. And I'm just very curious now, like, how's the how? Because agreed, like people, what you're saying, Lauren, I can tell you've lived the life. This is something that you've done. You've been there. You can speak to it so authentically. I've been there many times, and I'm always like, I want our doctors to get paid so well. I see how much you go into school for debt. I see and I think that that's a different piece too. If we're going to talk generational, people were not walking out like $500,000 in debt.
And y'all are way worse than us, right? Like, what's the average dentist? Like 350?
Average dentists right now are coming out at almost $500,000 of debt. When they
that is bonkers.
It's bonkers.
You guys, like when I heard that, because I posted a reel that was like went so viral and it was just about like healthcare debt and reimbursement rates. And that's when I learned they were like 250. Yeah, talk to a dentist. And I was like, wait, why? How long? And they were like, yeah, 350 minimum. Close. And I was like,
yeah,
that's insane.
That's insane. And then you go buy a practice. So the practice that I helped start with a dentist straight out of school, I called her 2.5. Like I'd walk by and be like, get that spine up. Like you're 2.5. We were 2.5 mil in debt. So that was coming with student loans. So schooling was 500,000. Living expenses during that time were about another, 2 to 500. So like they're walking out with this $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 worth of debt, not just including your schooling, but all of life expenses, because you're probably not working while you're going to school. And then we went and bought a practice that's about a $2 million practice. So we were like 2.5, not like we were 2.5 in debt. And I was like, keep that spine up, like put your hands up when you walk across the street. Like you got to keep those hands in motion, because otherwise, how are we going to get out of debt? And I think for me, when I look at that much debt, when I look at that much risk, and I look at the benefits that healthcare providers are giving, I'm like, no. And I tell teams all the time, I'm like, you want your doctor to be ridiculously wealthy. Like I do. Mm-hmm. And I preach this hard and I say, no, you should. and you deserve it. And we want you that way because you're a better boss. You're a better clinician. You are better at doing your services because you're not stressed about making money. So we're not, like you said, like, I want to go to Disney. Let me go find more patients. No, I have confident, predictable payroll or cash flow. I'm very successful in what I do, and you can make the margins there. Like, I was the girl who did business that did not understand numbers. And now I say, like, I love numbers and numbers definitely love me. And I'm like, it's now just a fun math equation. If I want to make X amount, you just back it down, you figure out what your costs are, and you figure out the 3 levers you can use. We either drop our overhead, increase our production, and or our collections. Like, it's very simple. When I'm like,
it's very simple.
Like, got it. When it's just those 3 levers, people make it so much more complex. And I think it does feel complex. Like, reading a P&L is ridiculous. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. We're here. There's no judgment. It's a profit and loss statement. And I love educating people on this. Like, this is where the fire in the belly comes. This is where we get lit up, because when I have someone who's cash flow positive, like you said, they can make calm decisions. They're not sitting here stressing all the time. But Lauryn, I'm very curious. Like, you've talked about it at length. Like, what do people do? Like, what's the how? How do we get into this? How do we have multiple streams? Because agreed, all eggs in one basket. Oh gosh. It's, to me, that's like just a ticking time bomb. Like, one bad day, one bad patient, one bad procedure, like, it's just going to explode because you're sitting on the edge of fear all the time, to where you are in like cortisol, adrenaline, like you are pumping. And then what you do is you go into complete shutdown because you can't handle it anymore. So your body and your system literally like just shuts down on you. You become apathetic to life. Things aren't exciting for you anymore. You become very numb to walking through the world. And it's like, I feel like the world of color goes into very like gray. It's very subtle. It's like, there's no life left. It's just, you are living life, but you're not actually being and living day in, day out. And that wraps part 1 of our part 2 series. Be sure to tune back in for part 2 of this podcast. And as always, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental Team Podcast.